Hi. So we're starting a new week, and I have this weird picture behind me. Do you have any idea what this is? Like, have you ever seen one of these or used one of these? So the funny thing is back when I was in college, that was Google. That's how we found stuff. So much easier now, especially now that Google's around. So I'm not going to go long here. I'm going to show you a few things on the website to introduce the week. There's another video in another place that will give you a whole lot more information. And so that should be really, really helpful. And let's just switch over. So we are starting another week. Make sure you open the tile for the week. And it is really, really important that you watch the video and read the checklist. The checklist literally gives you the context for how everything fits together. And you can print it off and check it off. And I kind of feel like it feels like a few people aren't actually really doing that, just based on how things are getting turned in. So don't short yourself. Print off the checklist, check everything off, make sure you know what's going on, and then sort of do things in the order they're presented. So this week for our Think videos, and these will be our topics of discussion for next week when we do Zoom again, has to do with privacy and security and finding things and things finding you and having access. So there's a video about what does Google know about me? They know a lot about you. And there's a new search engine we're introducing called Duckduckgo that some of you might be familiar with, but some of you might not. And I actually have it as the default search engine on my phone. It's really nice and it has some privacy protections. And so if you care about that, you might want to look into this. And this is a Dottotech video, so he's always interesting and he goes into lots of good details. And then there's a couple of things about net neutrality. And this is an issue that just keeps coming up because it's not quite been resolved. And it has to do with, like, can internet service providers charge you more to see certain content? Or should it all just be open and free on pretty much the information superhighway? So there's an article there from Wired that's really good that breaks it down pretty clearly. And then there's a video that gives you some more information. When we come down here, this good to know about search engine article is super interesting actually on a couple of levels. And I will pull this up for you because it gives you some information you might not realize. Like you and I, we could search for the same things at the same time and we might get different results. And so it talks about that. But the one thing to pay attention to, and it's way down at the bottom, is how search works. So this is a Google guy. He's a guy from Google. He takes about 3 minutes and he explains how things, when you type something in, what actually happens. And I'm gonna guess there's some things there you didn't know. So make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom of that page. And then there's some effective search strategy tips. There's the GCF Learn tutorials. One thing I am going to show you is on this evaluating information tutorial, because it's part of a larger digital media literacy. I know it's easy when you go to like the first one and you just kind of keep clicking through on the bottom, right? Stop at number 7. Like, okay, you can go through all of them, but there's like 19 things here. And we'll do some of these in a different class, a different lesson. But for this class, just go through 1 through 7 about evaluating information, because really it's not enough. It's not enough to just find the information. How do you know it's any good? Like, how do you know it's reliable? How do you know it's true? How do you know it's real? And that's going to give you some really good tips. And we're going to dive into that a little more next week also. And then once you find the information and you determine it's good information, how do you use the information? And so this tutorial has a couple of lessons on using the information correctly, including about plagiarism. There's some plagiarism like a bad deal. You could actually get kicked out of college for that. So you want to pay attention to how to use the information correctly. And finally, down here in the do section, there's a keyword. So there's the usual things. Now you're kind of in the habit now. There's the Insights journal on there, on Discord. There's the Zoom discussion signups for next week. If those times aren't working for you or you're having technical problems, you really need to let me know. I've sent out some emails, I've sent out some text messages, and there's a few people that I have gotten like no response from, and you're really missing out on a lot. Anyhow, there's a couple of GCF search quizzes, and we're going to do the transcript again. The tip on the transcript is please make sure your name shows at the top. Make sure it's your name, not some screen name. And then double check to make sure you're getting all of the items on there, because I am actually checking off that you're doing these things. And so the transcript's the only way I have to do that. So if it doesn't show on your picture, you might have to scroll up the screen and take another picture. And it's okay, you can submit a couple of pictures. Anyhow, let's go to this keyword search comparison, because this is the big fun activity. I do have a link to a video because I went through the process to show you how it works. And I try to lay it out step by step down here on the for credit part. But you're going to go to this website, and it's going to kind of step you through this idea of how do you create keywords to have a more effective, efficient search. Because it doesn't really do you any good to get like 50 million results if most of them are dumb and don't get your information that you want. So keyword searching is actually a really super easy way to narrow in on just the right stuff. So I'm excited about this week because finding stuff is critical. It's really easy. We're so used to just saying like, hey, Google, what's the temperature in Tahiti today? Uh-oh. It's 77 because Google heard me. So you have to watch out when your phone's listening, right? That might have to do with that video that's at the top in the think. Your phone's listening. Anyhow, lots of good stuff this week. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with, and let's search safely.